You're listening to localwebradio.fm. Community-minded, locally focused.
Are you a hardworking business owner striving for success online? There is help. Welcome to the School of Internet Marketing podcast, featuring candid conversations and inspiring stories of online success. Now here's your host.
Hello, I hope everybody is having a great day. I am your host, as always, Nick Jaworski, and today I am continuing my discussion with James Martell, founder of the School of Internet Marketing and VP of Product Development for Jam Media. Today's episode is called, What Should I Write About? The answer is surprisingly simple. Now, before James joins us, just a reminder that if you have questions or require assistance, you can reach James's team at Jam Media and the School of Internet Marketing at 604-542-0747 and on Facebook at facebook.com/GoGreatMinds. James Martell has taught tens of thousands of business owners how to effectively market their businesses online through his ebooks, courses, live trainings and webinars, podcast, and speaking engagements. James, welcome back.
Hey, Nick. Good to be back.
All right. Now, again, as always, lots of interesting things to talk about. And in the last episode, we talked about, how to satisfy Google's insatiable appetite for fresh content. And we talked about frequency. And now that we understand the importance of content and the frequency that we should write it, what should I be writing about?
That's one of those questions that I hear over and over and over again. And it's a very good question because what we do write about can also directly impact what we're being found for in the search results. So we want to really take some time to sort this out because the better job we do of it, the more people who are looking for you will actually find you.
Right.
So the first thing I'd like to just maybe point out is that when somebody goes to, let's say, Google, and they're doing a keyword search, they're usually looking to solve a problem or they have a question. Mm-hmm. And if we start looking at keyword searches as questions, our job is to provide them with the answer. And in this era, so many people these days, unlike days gone by, where in the early days somebody would do a keyword search and use maybe 2 words in the phrase, or maybe 3. And in today's environment, thanks to mobile devices, keyword searches can actually be into 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 keyword phrases. A lot of people use the voice feature when they're doing a search. So instead of typing it in, they may just grab their iPhone or their Android, hit the recording button within Google, and say, "Where do I find a local dry cleaner?" And if you think about that, where do I find a local dry cleaner? I guess would be one word. So there's 7 words in the search. So if we just begin to think about searches as questions, it gets real simple when it comes to our businesses, because what we need to do is just simply sit down, and I would suggest getting some staff members around you and people that work with you in your businesses, and just make a real long list of all of the questions that people ask you as it relates to your business, your products and services, everything that has anything to do with you, and just make a nice, big, long list. And those become the beginning, or at least the beginning of the content that you're going to be creating. So what are you going to write about? You're going to be answering basically questions that people are thinking about when they're doing Google searches for products and services that relate to your business.
Okay, so we know now what we're answering these questions, but how many articles should I be writing? We talked about consistency being important, but should I be consistent for a year or 2, and then I have 40 articles and I'm set? Or is there a number? What should I be trying to get to?
I would begin, there's actually no set number, and as we talked about in the previous episode, the more the merrier. It's stunning how many questions, again, that can relate to a business owner. So I would make sure that I had covered off as many of them as I possibly could. If I was, maybe owned a garden center And here we go into spring, thank goodness.
Yes.
People are probably thinking about all kinds of things to do with getting their yard in order. So I'd get granular on it, though. I'd start coming up with an article on how do I prepare my lawn for summer, or when do I plant my bulbs? When do I prune the trees? Like everything that somebody would be thinking about with relationship to getting the yard back in order. I mean, I'm looking at my yard right now, and it's a little bit tattered. It's been a bit of a rough winter, and I can see we've got some work to do out there. And if I need some assistance, where would I go? Well, I would go to Google, and I would type in a Google search. So if I was a garden center owner, I'd want to make sure every single question that you could possibly think of was answered in Google, so that when somebody does a search, they can easily find you. So it could be 50 questions, it could be 500 questions,
Right.
and probably closer to the latter. I'd start off, don't get overwhelmed with it, but I'd start off with coming up with this really big long list, and I would be continually adding to it, so that when people do a search for anything that relates to you and your business, that you're found way ahead of your competition, because you've got content that answers those questions.
And of course, if you're working with direct customers, I mean, one way to solve this would be just to literally write down the questions they ask.
Absolutely. In fact, that is such a good point. Those questions that they ask and the words that they use to ask them,
Yes,
is gold, because those are the actual keyword phrases that they would have typed in if they're sitting in front of Google. And if they're sitting in front of you and they're asking you questions, by all means, jot them down.
Yeah. Now, you said keywords there, and I remember back at the Wild West days of the internet where keywords meant just these articles with just like a paragraph of random words at the bottom that were attempting to game the system to get higher search results. But I don't think that's how they work now. I'm not sure. But so what do you mean when you say keywords, and how would I use them in my articles?
That's a very good point, and you're right. Search engine optimization, or SEO as it's called, has changed dramatically over the last few years, more specifically in the last couple of years with the introduction of brand new algorithms at Google. So I would highly recommend anybody that's thinking about search, forget about anything they may have learned in the past, because it's a whole new ball game now. And if you were to just take my advice and focus in on developing the content to answer those questions, and you answer one question at a time. So let's go back to the fundraising venue in South Surrey. Where do I find a fundraising venue in South Surrey? That would be a great article. And then forgetting about keywords completely when we're writing this, you'll notice that if you just focus on answering the question thoroughly for the visitor, and there used to be a saying, visitor first, search engine second, when it came to creating content. It's now visitor first, forget about the search engine. Focus on the visitor, the search engine will take good care of you. Because the better job you do of answering the question, the more granular it is, the more detailed it is, the better off that article will do in the results. Because Google, again, not only an insatiable appetite for content, but fresh, interesting, and relevant content on the topic that's being searched. So if you just keep every question or every article you create, focus on answering the one question. Don't mix it up. Don't try to answer two completely different questions. You'll confuse the search engine. Focus in on answering one question and do a real good job of it, and you will do fine.
All right. Well, we have to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere, because we will be right back with James Martell. We'll be talking more about what we should be writing on our website. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Shopping for the lowest mortgage rate? Looking to refinance? Catch the Mortgage Newscast with Jared Dreyer on the Business Channel on localwebradio.fm.
Take control of your financial future with Sound Investing with Byron Stryloff, Senior Investment Advisor and Chartered Financial Planner with over 30 years of experience on the Business Channel on localwebradio.fm.
Buying or selling a home on the Semiahmoo Peninsula? Catch up on local market conditions on This Week in Real Estate with Lance and Connie Marples from Sutton West Coast Realty on localwebradio.fm.
All right, we are back, and I am here with James Martell, founder of the School of Internet Marketing, and we are talking about what you should be writing about on your website. All right, now, James, you talked about consistency, we've talked about keywords, but how long should these articles be?
That's a good question. Length is not really that important. I guess my standard answer for that is as long as it needs to be. It's almost the answer to the question is how long is a piece of string? Well,
right.
It's as long as it needs to be. And same with the article. You want to answer that question thoroughly. So the answer, I guess, would be as long as it needs to be to thoroughly answer the question. I would also suggest taking a little peek at seeing what your competitors are up to. If you're finding them in the search results for keyword phrases that you're wanting to rank for, take a little peek to see how long their articles are. A good rule of thumb is usually 400 or 500 words plus. 600 words is great, 700 words. But in a local search setting, local community, you're usually fine at around 400, 500, 600. Mm-hmm. But again, it's not about the number of words. It's really about thoroughly and properly answering the question. So I suggest, if you do a little research on your topic, of course, you've got probably a good topic knowledge around your business already. That's great. Pour all that onto, into a rough outline, and then plan to really kind of dig a little bit deeper into the topic than just a surface level article, and then make sure you're answering that question thoroughly. And then you'll probably find you're going to come up, with a decent length article that'll be just exactly what it needs to be because you've thoroughly answered the question.
Now, what if I'm just not comfortable writing that much, or I don't have the time to do that kind of writing? How can I get involved in this? How can I get content out there? What should I do?
Yeah, that's a challenge for many business owners. They could be extremely busy, and most are. Mm-hmm. Or like me, when I started writing back in 1999, I hadn't written. I was a carpenter by trade. Carpenters don't generally sit down in front of a computer and write. That in itself was new to me, and I had to even learn how to use products such as Microsoft Word. So I was not very comfortable at all writing, and I found it very clunky and cumbersome in the beginning. Although I didn't have a lot of money to hire people, so I ended up having to write it anyways. So I just basically dug in and got comfortable with it again, because we all wrote for the most part back in school and college, and back then it wasn't even a question of are we comfortable writing. So
right.
It's really a matter of just kind of getting to it. But if you don't have the time, or you just don't feel comfortable doing it, you don't want to do it, there's another thing you got to look at. I've got a saying: do what you do best, outsource the rest. Because typically the stuff that you don't like to do usually gets shuffled to the back and usually doesn't get done.
Right.
So I like to find somebody to take care of that. So if you've got employees, look around the office, or if it's a restaurant, whatever type of business you own, there's probably somebody there that you can task with the role of developing the content. And we've got one of our clients down in Sacramento. He's an attorney. He's got his assistant. She writes 1 page a day. That's all she does. She's pretty good at making sure that happens. So if you've got somebody you can assign the work to and make it a part of their job so it's going to get done because you're paying them to do it, task it out to somebody to take care of it for you, so you know that it gets done. But regardless of how it gets done, just make sure it does get done.
Now, earlier we talked a little bit about SEO, search engine optimization. I know that it's important. I'm gonna spoil that. But how important is that?
Yeah, it's different than it was, but there's still a level of importance to it. The number one thing to keep in mind with search engine optimization, as we said earlier, is to keep the page focused on answering one question. That's a really good thing. If the headline can become some form of the question, that's a good thing, because of course the headline is the question, the article is the answer. And if the headline is the question, the keywords that you'd like to rank for, like where do I find a fundraising venue in South Surrey, then you'll find, and it doesn't have to have a question mark on the end of it, and maybe just a nicely written headline that's talking about having a successful South Surrey fundraiser, at a local venue.
Mm-hmm.
You focus on that, then you'll be way ahead of the game. No keyword stuffing. Don't repeat keywords over and over again for the sake of repeating them unless you want to just get that page completely turfed from the results. Google will find that in a millisecond and it'll be gone. So just focus on high quality content, one topic, answer the question thoroughly, and all the SEO you need to take care of will be done.
That's interesting that now your page will get punished for sort of repeating keyword phrases.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure anybody that's been around online for any period of time, and I must say I was guilty of it in the early days, repeating the same keyword phrase once in every paragraph throughout the entire article, and it read horribly. Why did we do it? It was the only way to get ranked highly in the search results. You had to do it to get ranking, to get your rankings. Today, the way you get rankings is by high quality content. If we just quickly, back up to the big five, content quality. So you want the quality of the content to be very good. Content frequency we talked about, once a week minimum. Content variety, we'll get on that a little bit more in others, in upcoming episodes. Content popularity, how many times is your content being liked, plus shared, tweeted, commented on, all important. But it all relates back to the quality of the content and just making sure you've taken the time to thoroughly do a good job on it.
All right, well, that's great information, and it's a sort of an uplifting place to stop. Just make good content, people will come, Google will come, but we are out of time. But if you are a do-it-yourselfer or have someone on staff who could take care of your internet needs for you with just a little guidance, maybe they should become a member of the School of Internet Marketing. That's only $47 a month, and considering what you get in return for joining, that's not a lot of money. It's a great deal. Now, if you would prefer someone just do it for you, of course, you can always give James's team a call at 604-542-0747. And if you know someone who could benefit from what we've talked about here today, please go ahead and share this podcast with them. I know that they'll thank you for it. James, it was wonderful talking to you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about the School of Internet Marketing and to get access to all exclusive courses and interviews, visit theschoolofinternetmarketing.com. That's www.theschoolofinternetmarketing.com.
Local stories, local voices. We're localwebradio.fm.
This episode is a production of Jam Media. For information on hosting your own web radio show, visit jammedia.com. That's www.jambmedia.com.
The opinions expressed by our guest and host on localwebradio.fm do not necessarily reflect the views of Jam Media or its owners. No expressed or implied opinions of any product or service should be considered an endorsement or recommendation of any kind by Jam Media or its owners.